Namaste, angels. This is the weekly love reading. I'm going to jump right in because I already had a very long general reading because it started out with a rant from me. Probably about a 20-minute rant from me before I even did the reading. So with this one, we're not going to do that. I'm beginning with 29, which I began with for the general too, as a matter of fact. 29 is all about spiritual partnership. Twos mean duality, partnership, wisdom in supreme math. Nines, well, in supreme math, while I'm on that, 9 means born. So it's kind of like death and rebirth, a new beginning. In numerology, it's about endings. But in angel numbers, about humanitarianism and it being time to start out on your like spiritual path and your, embark upon that. So 29 together is what that's about. Email is straightforward. Email could be because of Uranus, very active right now. And stay in bed is the third one. And Spirit says, eat cake. It's 50-50. And dirty movie, which is interesting because we actually saw sex in the general. So I'm not sure what that's about. Well, stay in bed maybe from the general. Stay there after the sex and remain there. Maybe that's what that stay in bed is about. In any case, I'm going to move on to the Tony Carmine Salerno Universal Love Oracle and meditation. And opening 2, answer prayer. Something else that was very prevalent in the general with the 9 of Cups and the Star both having shown up. Meditation back and opening 2, balance. So we're still dealing with this air and water, these couplings, but in like the best possible way. Air and water coming together very harmoniously over the past few weeks in the cards and in our couples as well. Meditation. Meditation opposite that balance card also can be about, an individual and like finding their zen, their inner yin and yang, balancing out their inner masculine and feminine. And opening 2, guardian, reminding you that you're not on that path or trip alone. You don't have to do any of that on your own. Always someone a being out there supporting you to help you even in this state, maybe especially in this state. Perfect way and means to communicate with our higher selves and other beings of the angelic realm. And opening 2, spiritual growth, which is also like ignited often in periods of meditation. We spark all kinds of stuff. I'm going to light some incense while we're doing this too. Didn't do that in advance. I'll do one more. Glad I did. It's love. Opening to love. Maybe meditating on love, meditating on being love. Maybe the way that you're meditating is, for example, like the binaural tones and you're listening to 528 megahertz. And that is opening up the heart chakra. That's helping you with love. I didn't even cut these today. I went right to the overall energy. And that is expectancy. Expectancy is about our need to let go of our expectations in so much as they are limitations that we put upon the universe. Our human minds aren't vast enough to conceive what the universe is able to, create, what the universe is able to bestow upon us. So when we say do it like this and do it like that, as if we're in control, we limit and we block our own blessings. So this guides us not to do that. That's the overall energy. The divine feminine this week. The masculine on the divine feminine, masculine about the divine feminine, about himself, union as a whole. Overall, the outcome, what the masculine would have the feminine to do, you know, her contribution toward this situation this week, his, and what the universe would have the two of them to do, surrender, sacrifice, contribute, whatever the case turns out to be toward facilitating the union this week. Feminine, divine guidance. And there's moon here, and there is a new moon this week on Thursday. So I would think that may be one of the reasons why this particular card is showing up, but also similar to the guardian angel, to remind us like we have this infinite amount of help and assistance and support and love at our disposal at all times. But you can definitely connect with mother, the feminine aspect, which is the moon, and that feminine energy of surrender this week. Thursday, new moon in Libra. Masculine about the feminine this week, celebration. Also, not only celebration, you know, in the face, taking it at face value, but looking at the picture and picking up an intuitive meaning from that. First of all, the first thing that jumps out to me always is how very spiritual and sacred this dove is, because it reminds me of the Pentecost. To me, this is the Pentecostal dove that I'm seeing with this like blue halo around its head and all kinds of white and blue rays like Christ light, Archangel Michael. I see all of that coming out of here. So that is the meaning that the divine masculine is using this week. This dove representing the sacredness of his sentiments and feelings about the feminine. You know, he sees her as a very sacred and angelic even being. About himself this week, working on that balance, his inner masculine and feminine. Maybe he too is going to draw on the energy of the moon. That's the feminine energy of surrender. He can use it as well. Maybe that will help him to come together with his inner masculine and feminine. Also get something off his chest or off his throat here with that Uranus energy, maybe through an email, maybe through a text, some sort of electronic means of communication from the masculine this week. He's saying actually I got the email, and maybe that'll be an initiator, but I'm hearing some will definitely be doing this, you know, verbally. It won't be email. It won't be text. And you might be surprised. It may be from some of those who are normally a little bit more quiet. About the union as a whole, transmutation. The union continues to rise. The union continues to ascend higher and higher to levels of love that none of us, you know, to which none of us are used, and again, that we can't even conceive. So let go of your expectancy of what kind of love this is going to be. You can't even imagine ultimately what's in store. Overall, retreat. Some of us needing to connect with nature, again, with mother, not just by way of the moon and that feminine energy of surrender, but with the earth. Put your feet on the earth. If you're able to do not only that meditation that we saw, but something that can be done outside. If you're able to sit like this and you're interested in sitting like this, then by all means do that, but that's not necessary. Whatever it is, however it is, you best commune and communicate with nature is what you're to do to open up your flow of abundance. And we have more of this Uranus and star energy, this Aquarius energy coming through. That may be the air that's prevalent this particular week. What would the masculine have the feminine do? Forgiveness. He's seeking forgiveness. In some cases, he's extending forgiveness. He has to begin with himself anyway, so he's going to have to extend some forgiveness. In some cases, he's extending some to you. You know, you've been hurtful as well, but the feminine's been damaged. A lot of us, and he's acknowledging his responsibility where that's concerned, and seeking this forgiveness. And we were aware of this. We were aware that this week, and it began actually, you know, the week that we're leaving, we saw in the readings of last week and the moon reading that covered this period, covered a whole period of 2 weeks, we saw there was going to be a lot of forgiveness sought and needed in order for us to get past this point. So just the message being reiterated, and the readings once again aligning with one another over the past couple weeks, and always that this is the message from the divine masculine. This is what he needs from the feminine in order for, you know, there be continued progress and continued rise, continued ascension of these unions. What's he willing to do? This is first acknowledging for what he needs the forgiveness. This is looking at his present situation and how did I get here? Whether, you know, positive, negative, neutral, wherever, he has to assess his current situation. How did I get here? For what am I responsible that maybe could have been done differently? It wasn't done in the most positive way. And then looking back at the past and looking toward the future, what do I want different? And then that leads to this seeking of forgiveness. What will the universe have the two to do? And it's exactly what the masculine is focused on the union doing, continuing to rise and trying to be, you know, better versions of themselves, and, you know, nearer and dearer always, to the extent that we're able, to this trilogy situation, the masculine, the feminine, and the universe coming together as, you know, one. Outcome here, healing sounds. So this is the need to continue on the path that we're on. Okay, we're on the path toward healing here. Healing, forgiveness, restoration, reconciliation, and this will, I talked about this a few minutes ago. I said maybe we're listening to 528 megahertz. Maybe we are. What's the other one? Is it 620? I should know this. I listen to them all the time. The other one is at might be 628 or 629 too, something like that. Both of those would be about love and the heart chakra and healing in those areas. But there's, you know, sounds for all kinds of healing that would be relative to this. Things that can help us to get stuff off our chest, to speak up, the throat chakra specifically. Also to release fear so that we're able to, you know, we're confident in, you know, letting go of some of these things onto which we've been holding, to seek this forgiveness, to give this forgiveness. All of that can be helped by the healing sounds or whatever sort of maybe audio stimulation, music, or whatever is meditative to you and calms you, brings you serenity, brings you joy, brings you peace. That is what you should do in order to get to this place. Now, that was from the perspective of the masculine, going to the perspective of the universe with the hashtag creepy deck. I'm going to begin with mature woman and opening to soulmate. Mature woman and gossip. Probably like the people that I'm dealing with. So I told you I went on a rant, and before I always do any I always do any readings that I have, period, whatever kind they are, phone, video, whatever. Whatever orders I receive during the week, by Friday, Saturday, I post or provide, whatever it is, I give the person their reading by the end of the week. So I had 2 to do video, and I didn't get to them until today. Today's Saturday, well, it's actually now Sunday, 3:12 in the morning. but I didn't get to them until Saturday, which is kind of late, or Saturday late in the evening. And I posted them right before I did this, and somebody had already reported those. So that's that's not about what my rant is, but I've just been having, like, you know, these people that are like a thorn in my side and stuff like that. So that gossip made me think of that. Many of us may be dealing with that, because the energy of like the 5 of Wands and the 5 of Air, all of these things came up in the general reading for this week. So there's hostilities, and we saw that too. So I shouldn't be surprised by that either. We saw that as well in the Aries full moon reading and the love and general readings of last week. So in any case, again, we're back to mature woman, and I'm opening to beauty queen. So feeling very attractive this week, very confident as far as that is concerned. Mature woman, I'll go one more. There's an issue with past love, maybe past heartache. Mature woman. I'm going to cut. Speaking of cut, yes, I did cut my nails, and then they were still too long, and I cut them again. I'm here to passion. Look what's trying to be exposed, though. It's control. So some of us still manipulating or attempting to manipulate situations, or allowing ourselves to be manipulated. Again, we don't want to try to control this. We want to let go of our expectancy, because our vision is too small. Allow the universe to handle the show. They can do a much better job than any of us. And, you know, the same way with negativity, I've always said it. I know I'm not the only one. You know, certain situations, negative situations, I didn't even want to address. You know how you choose your battles? I choose not to fight some, because I say karma can do a much better job than me. The universe can do a much better job than me. It works in the positive as well. You know, the universe can do a much better job than us. Let it provide us with those miracles. Passion. Overall energy is dating, and it is under a moon, a full moon, but moon nonetheless. So this week is not a full moon. This week is a new moon, but I think this is still very relevant for us. The divine couple, the recent past, the near future, the masculine's higher self. Blocks to the union. What the feminine can do, what the masculine can do, what the further advice from the universe, and what they would have the, you know, to or either to do, and the outcome. Divine couple, travel. So going the distance, going the long haul. Some people actually physically traveling to visit one another. It can be local travel. It doesn't have to be long distance travel. But some of us actually coming together, maybe even coming out of separation, both physical and emotional separation, to narrow this distance, right? Returning back together. But this has been, for the most part, it's about like going a long way, going the distance, going the long haul together. Recent past, wallflower. So somebody had not been, you know, somebody had been in a position of non-action, where they were like at the party, but they weren't participating. You might not even notice they were there. And I was saying, for the most part, the energy of who these people were, from what I could feel, for the most part, it's Capricorn and Scorpio, or people that were taking on those sort of traits or attributes. And in some cases, Gemini I was feeling as well with that wallflower energy. So even those people turning around. I said before, you might be surprised. Maybe you'll be surprised because all of a sudden you'll hear from a Capricorn that you're not used to hearing from, or you'll hear from a Scorpio from whom you're not used to hear. You may hear from a Gemini. I know we rarely pick up the phone. I can tell you that much. So you may hear from one of us. You know, that will be the wallflower. The near future. Work. This can mean many things. Right now, of course, this is the love reading. The first thing that jumped out at me that, you know, reached my mouth is working on the union. This is putting effort into it. And that's what this wallflower is doing. Instead of, this is completely out of character for the wallflower to all of a sudden be taking action. But, you know, that's what we've been talking about. That's what I feel is happening. Again, the masculine's higher self. New love. This is, you know, where his focus is. The rebirth, in most cases, but for some, yeah, it's brand new. For some, you're just now coming together. It's brand new. For others, again, it's anew. It's renewed. Blocks to the union this week. Spiritual growth. So we're working on ourselves as individuals. That's sort of in some ways preventing us from coming together, but not at all in a negative sense. I mean, ultimately, you know, this will bring us together and support the two as a unit. What can the feminine do this week? Communicate. So especially if the masculine is putting in work and in reaching out and making an effort toward new love, then, you know, you can make the call, or you can be receptive to answering. If you're on the receiving end, you can send a text, or again, be receptive to answering if you're on the receiving end, feminine, not being, you know, closed off. Make sure that you're open to the situation. The forgiveness and all that has to be genuine, and then you should be open to both giving and receiving love. The masculine, narrowing this down to 29, spiritual partnership. We don't need the third wheel. Whether it's, you know, romantic or otherwise, this is somebody that's been butting in. That's probably why I shuffled to that gossip card before. We're going to be narrowing this down. Further advice from the universe. This is, you know, toward what we're moving instead, family. So it'll be a new party of 2 or 3, if it's anything like what's pictured here. Not this type anymore. And the outcome here, young male. For some, this is a baby. This is a pregnancy. This is a son coming, was the first thing. But for others, yes, it's these, it's youthful behavior, and it's, in some cases, it's these May-December relationships. And, you know, we know that there's a lot of these. So young male this week. Young male, communication, coming out of separation, love anew or brand new, putting even the wallflower, somebody who might not have put much effort in before, not that they didn't want to, but it's just sort of out of character for them. They're going to get up and dance this week and, you know, do some work toward the union. Toward, right, this, dating. With the Doreen Virtue Romance Angels, I'm going to begin with soulmate. Yes, this is your soulmate. And we're letting go of control issues. So that marionette, right, the puppet we saw, we're cutting those strings. No more manipulation. Allow the situation to unfold naturally instead. Soulmate. Flirt. Extend your lighthearted energy to others. So this could be connected to young male. For some, that youthful and young, we're not going to be too uptight. Like that old guy that comes through that I said, ooh, this is like Mars or Aries. It's very aggressive. This guy's being overbearing. The feeling that comes out of that card, I don't get that from young male. That's the difference, right? It's this lighthearted energy. Soulmate. Calling in your soulmate. Your prayers, affirmations, visualizations help bring you together. soulmate, and unrequited love. So this is that third wheel again. There's not enough attraction or chemistry to keep this relationship going. So this is why we're going to dispense with it, and have been doing this for the past several weeks. This has been going on successfully. Soulmate back. I'll go one more. I'm glad I did. It's wedding. This situation among the soulmates involves marriage. Wedding now at the bottom. I'm going to cut on that happy note. Chemistry, the strong magnetic attraction here. Wow. And once again, just like in the other spread, the overall energy is new love. A new person has stirred your romantic feelings. So this was the overlying theme there with the masculine entire self. This is our overall energy now. Masculine, heart-to-heart conversations. Then I said it's going to want to talk. Somebody has something to get off his chest. Honestly discuss your feelings with each other. Go ahead and do that. Surrounded by, this could be the one. You've already met the romantic partner you seek. And in the masculine's subconscious, love yourself first, however. So like if you got to rid yourself of somebody, you've been holding on to them and trying to like not hurt their feelings or whatever, protect someone else's feelings or society or whatever. We're not doing that anymore. As we've seen again over the past few readings, we are loving ourselves now. Your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive anyway, taking that step and putting your heart's desires first. Feminine, you deserve love. You are lovable. So this Cupid is going to give you some. She's got the arrow pointing at you. And we're surrounded by separation. Time apart from your partner is on the horizon. This is like that third wheel partner for us too. So we got to do the same thing that the masculine's doing in some cases. Put ourselves first and separate from, whom we don't belong and haven't been feeling or whatever, that we've been maybe for the same reasons, because we didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. We didn't want to what's society going to think? What about the kids and all that kind of stuff? But even in those cases, this is happening now. And how will we approach our connection, getting back to it? By extending our lighthearted energy to others. So we don't want to be like an uptight, old fuddy-duddy stick in the mud either. We too taking on that energy, maybe not necessarily of young male, but young male too. I mean, we all have an inner masculine as well. Young male is fine. We're taking on a youthful energy in order to get back in the flow of things, the spirit of things. The union is crowned by religious factors. Your love life is influenced by your religious upbringing and spiritual path. And at the root, express your love. So again, these conversations, which again, I felt more so coming from the side of the masculine, that he would be the initiator and we would be the recipient, but it does not have to be. And that it sits here between the two of us. Again, it can be either. So just like I was saying before, feminine, if you are the initiator, good. If you feel pushed to be the one to make contact, you should absolutely follow that guidance and do it. And if you're on the receiving end, then you're going to want to be warm and welcoming, sort of either lighthearted like the young male, or if you're more focused on being older and female, maybe like a queen of earth. Right? That warm and compassionate sort of energy. Express your love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. And you see it's sitting here in the same exact position where work was, because it's the same message. It's the same energy. Make the romantic gesture if that's what you're guided to do. Work on the situation. Put some effort into it. At the heart of the matter, boom, what did I say? Reconciliation. Someone from your past is returning to your life. And anytime when I have reconciliation in the same spread as separation. To me, it's, and if anybody was doubting that I was saying before that this has nothing to do with your partner, you know now, with reconciliation sitting here next to it, this is not a manifestation of this union. It's definitely something other. Gonna get some advice from my Lover's Path Tarot 2, beginning with Tannhauser and Elizabeth and Judgment. And Judgment in this deck, each of these major arcana cards in this deck has a cute little story that accompanies it. And Judgment in this deck is a story, or the story, of Tannhauser and Elizabeth. And basically, long story short, how Tannhauser like took too long coming back for Elizabeth, his love. By the time he got back, she had died because he just kept delaying and delaying. He felt that he wasn't good enough. His self-esteem was low. And he just kept putting it off. Meanwhile, she loved him to death. As a matter of fact, she hadn't died before he got there. She died when he got there. She died in his arms. You know, she took her last breath and collapsed on him. She had been waiting for him. So he was having fear and ego and feeling less than. She didn't feel like that about him. She felt that, you know, that was her king. That was her man. And she was waiting. So message out there to those of you. Also, Judgment is representative for me in general of the planet Pluto. In the traditional tarot, it's that card where it is like Judgment Day, those souls in purgatory being judged. So it's a time when, as it relates to ourselves and other people, similar to what I was just saying about the masculine, not being overly judgmental of ourselves or other people. As it relates to work and stuff, it's about promotion. It's about it. So it can be about ascension of the union again, similar to the transmutation card that showed up in the last spread. And as it relates to relationships, romantic or otherwise, but since this is the love reading, I'm talking about that kind. It's about having reached a crossroad, and it's time to do something. It's time to come back. If you're this Tannhauser that has been in separation, that's why there's a need for reconciliation now. Okay, opening 2, the 10 of Staves in reverse. Tannhauser and Elizabeth. The Queen of Staves in reverse. Tannhauser and Elizabeth. Temptation, or the Devil, with Paolo and Francesca upright. Judgment, and opening to the 2 of Arrows and another Cupid, like the Cupid that's here. But this is actual Cupid, Venus's son Cupid. And I think here he is over his own girlfriend, Psyche, or wife. In any case, there's a decision to be made when this card turns up. And opposite Judgment, I'd say the decision is like, what am I doing? Right? It's make a judgment call. You've reached the crossroad. What are you doing? Judgment. I'm going to cut. Oh, so also, that's another reason why there may be some, or to think that there may be Scorpios involved. So I'd already mentioned Scorpio with the Wallflower card. And now that Judgment card, again, representing Pluto, that is their ruling planet. And coming to the Ace of Staves upright, so a passionate new beginning. And yes, maybe sex for some people. The staves or wands, very phallic in the tarot. And Ace often is about just that. Speaking of Cupid and his girlfriend or wife, Psyche, The overall energy is awakening with Cupid and Psyche. So again, Cupid is Venus's son here. This would be Venus's daughter-in-law. Their story, she had harmed him, and he was kind of a mama's boy. And so Venus wanted to punish her. But then he decided, you know, that's when he grew his balls, and he decided to even block his mother from being able to harm her, and went and saved his woman. So there could be some of that. Like the third energy could be somebody's, you know, mother even, father, blocking in that way, child. Also going to use my Journey of Love by Alana Fairchild deck, and I'm beginning with card number 66 and Coming Together. And this card is also about reconciliation. This card is a forewarning, foretelling that two souls, and I guess these are the two souls here. And this looks very Jupiter and Scorpio to me. Jupiter, all this red, not that Jupiter is a red planet, it's a big gas planet, but it represents the sign of Sagittarius, or Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So here's all this red. And then the blue here with the Scorpio. Coming Together is about reconciliation and like soulmate relationships. And opening to Contemplation. So maybe this is the decision that has to be made, the thinking about it. Coming Together. She is the moon. So this is like a goddess of the moon kind of card, maybe because of the full moon that will occur this week. And again, that feminine energy of surrender that is available to us, helping us to make some strides this week, get some new starts. New moons are always about new beginnings. Full moons are about letting go of all energy. So we just did that. We just had our death, and now we're about to go into the rebirth. Coming Together is back. And loving all that is. Card number 22, master number 22, or 1111. And that now at the bottom, I'm going to cut on that note. And loving all that is back. And the overall energy is guardian of the soul family. So a minute ago, I had card number 22 and I had card number 66. And now we have the 2 and the 6 together here. So I think there's something to that too. There's some meaning there. And maybe it's about the infinite, again, of the guardianship, of the protection, with the 26 equaling 8 or infinity maybe. How that protection from the guardian is infinite. Okay, I'll read this one last since I'll read it from the book. From the Romance Angels to the Masculine, Deception. Yeah, because some of us have been lying to ourselves, again, trying to force ourselves to live by other people's standards, other people's rules, other people's, you know, what makes them happy, what makes them tick. We're trying to do that, and in the process making ourselves miserable. And now again, we've been reminded to love ourselves first, because our self-respect makes us more romantically attractive and brings us joy. So we're going after that. No more deception. For the feminine, let go of control issues. Allow the situation to unfold naturally. And we do have this this problem very, very heavily. And I get it. I understand. Like, you know, we get impatient. Again, the feminine has been hurt. We saw that. There is a need for, you know, forgiveness and healing. And, you know, she's deserving of that. And as we've tried to rush things along in some cases because of that, because we wanted that part to end. It's still in divine timing nonetheless. And all we've done is bring more delay and despair upon ourselves. So we benefit by cutting these cords to fear and control and ego, and just allowing for flow, allowing the situation to unfold naturally. From the creepy deck to the masculine, beauty queen. So feeling good, feeling attractive, feeling confident. And this is your week to, you know, put on your best, whatever it is. If it's jeans and sneakers or a suit, whatever makes you feel good, and ready to march over and, you know, get your woman or man or what have you. Do that. This is your like week to shine. Feminine, children. I told you, I felt that somebody was getting pregnant this week or giving birth or something, and that was the first thing with the young male. For others, there is a situation again from which we have not separated because our children would be impacted, affected, or at least we thought they would, involved. There are children, not in a negative way, but nonetheless, there are children that are sort of a block, and there's some issues that the feminine has to work out for herself too. She's been trying to control that also. You got to allow things to flow with the children too, basically. From the Lover's Path Tarot to the masculine, Venus and balance. So balance is back. Their story, the Venus and her husband Vulcan. Venus was sort of a freak. She got around. She's the goddess of love. What can I say? And what can she say? She had a lot of suitors. I'll put it that way. So Zeus wanted to marry her off so that, you know, she would slow down and, you know, be a housewife. If you can picture that. So he married her off to Vulcan. And at first, she wasn't very happy with it because they didn't, you know, have much in common. Or at least she, you know, so she thought. He was like a factory worker. And again, she was like this goddess of love. He was like the god of like the forge, lord of the forge. So, you know, with like metal working and all that kind of thing. He was like a factory worker. And she was this goddess of love and money and all things that are glamorous. So they didn't have anything in common. So she kept seeing other people. But ultimately, that was part of what made their relationship work, their differences. And so they found balance with one another. This is basically an opposites attract kind of card to the masculine. So again, where you're feeling less than, you don't compare, we're different. I'm from uptown, she's from downtown, or vice versa. That's what makes, you know, that's like the beauty of the situation, basically. And feminine, the Princess of Arrows, Psyche. So this is basically the Page of Swords. Yeah, something may need to come out, some sort of communication from you toward you. It can be from the masculine, again, with the need for forgiveness and apologies and so on and so forth. But all these butterflies on her, I think it has to do with her rebirth too as an individual, and this getting away from whatever this situation is, allowing it to die, allowing herself to go through, you know, the motions that accompany that. Again, letting go of the control issues and allowing herself to go through that transformation and see what happens when you come out the other end. It's been delayed. When the Princess of Arrows or the Page of Swords shows up, it also signifies delay. And it's been delayed because we've tried to control it. So we got to allow for the divine time. And apparently the divine time is now that this is going to happen. And lastly, from the Journey of Love Oracle, 44 Rings of Time. So the archangels present for this too. And for us, feminine, the Cloak, card number 50. I also see I didn't give us any cards from this deck because I had put those cards over here. All right, card number 44, Rings of Time. Divine timing is granted to us as a gift. Sometimes if we want to be further ahead than we are, the gift can seem like a restriction rather than a generous holding. Much like traffic that moves systematically so that not only one car, but many can reach their destination according to a greater harmony and alignment, we are like individual cars that must sometimes accept red lights. And at other times, we can flow swiftly through many green lights. It's just the way this systematic flow of divine energy through human manifestation works. Your spiritual maturation is happening. So spiritual growth, spiritual ascension, as we saw in the other spreads. And it's happening perfectly. There's no need to bother yourself about timing. When doors open, walk through. When there appear to be no such openings, rest and reflect. The rings of time serve you, beloved. This oracle brings you a message that the divine is completely responsible for the timing of every event, opportunity, and happening of grace in your life. All you need to do is live your life. Everything else is taken care of for you now. This applies to all of your plans and the unfolding of all of your relationships. So the masculine doesn't have to try to force himself again into any particular lifestyle anymore either. He needs to let go as well. And then all can breathe and let the divine happen as it will. There's a beautiful silence now as I hold your hands and listen to your eyes across a span of moments called time. There are no words that say as much, nor walls that could confine the wings of our feelings or the rhythm of our eyes. So everything that I have been saying was just summarized by that oracle card. I love it. And for the feminine, the cloak. Around you, there is a cloak of your own creation. Perhaps it served you for a time as an individual form of protection, as a way to claim needed solitude, as a way to retreat inside to find out what you truly feel, what you truly need, to find yourself after being lost in an ocean of thought and emotion. Not always your own. Yet, the time is fast approaching when you no longer require the cloak. So it's like you've attained an integration within, a knowledge of self that makes it possible for you to connect with the world, with others, in a way that does not leave you lost or struggling to find yourself. You've learned how to hold yourself. You've learned how to do this well enough so that you can do it successfully. And you can hold on to yourself and you can hold on to another too. You don't have to push the world away. You can invite it in and play. So I talked to the feminine about being youthful and playful. This oracle guides us to do the same. The message that this oracle brings is that you can safely release the forms of security that you once held. You don't have to abandon your boundaries with others. Rather, your boundaries are so functional that you can enter into relationships with more openness, trusting that your boundary will naturally assert itself when necessary, giving you the connection to yourself that you need when you need it, without having to withdraw from a relationship entirely. It's time to trust your own boundaries and practice letting them help you whilst actively engaging in deeper relationships. You'll have fun. So this is about being youthful again. Loneliness is a ship in full sail with no wind and no place to go. Masculine, continue healing. You're doing an awesome job. And feminine, he'll see you in your dreams. I hope that you guys enjoy the love reading and you find it helpful. Namaste, angels.